Good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. Today is November 19th, 2024. It's Tuesday. We're, about two-thirds of the way through the month of November. And this is where our distribution partners gather. We get together most weekday mornings, talk about strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories, and support each other. Keep in mind, we have a separate set of Zooms that are designed for our clients and prospective clients. So anyone's welcome to any of the Zooms, but our morning Zooms like now is meant for our distribution partners. So with that being said, yesterday, well, my be shared, and so yesterday we kind of rolled out the new comparison sheet. Let me take a moment and get some feedback from you all. If you all could type into the Q&A, what type of market response have you had to the comparison sheet? So Mr. Brown, Mr. Barchi, Mr. Keller, Miss James, Mr. Miller, Mr. Fulcher. We have 315 of you, so I can't name everyone off. But have any of you taken this Shelf Corp comparison sheet and started to use it to better explain to prospective clients how the program works? All right, well, looks like some of you have and some of you haven't. Again, we'll provide you an editable version where you can change the contact information on the bottom. So on yesterday's Zoom, what we talked about was introducing the form. And I think we did a fairly decent job, going down the left-hand column here and going through this and why the words are there and why they're important, and then went through the components of the comparison. But I was talking to Dr. Smith, who's not on. She's one of our distribution partners. And when I talked to her, or it's actually a text, when we text last night, I realized that I didn't do a good enough job. So I want to readdress this comparison sheet. So I'll take just 1 or 2 minutes to summarize it in case you weren't on yesterday, and then I'll get to my message today. So, what is it you and I do? We solve problems, right? There's a lot of people that want money to start or grow a business, but they don't have access to capital. Many of them lack financial literacy to even know what they need to do to be able to qualify for funding. So, you and I go out and we help people with fundable shelf corps. It's legal, it's ethical, it's fast, it's effective, it's guaranteed. It's like a business in a box that we can transfer to a client. So now they're ready to go to funding in just a week. Because it's the same equation that you've heard throughout your business education: buy or build, buy or build. Every decision in business, most decisions in business, are buy or build. When Elon Musk decided to build the Cybertruck, he had to decide, is he going to build and create and manufacture the steering wheel, or is he going to buy it from a vendor? So when small business owners say, hey, I want funding, what they really should be thinking about is, hey, I want a fundable business. And they can either build a fundable business or they can buy one, acquire one. And that's where the Shelf Corp comes in. So on this sheet, what we've done is we've broken down some of the key features, some of the key benefits to make it real easy for you. Because some of you are very, very good at business development and sales. You take Juan, you take Joseph, take Claude, Brian. You all are natural salesmen and women. However, some of you have really never been successful in business development. So this form is the great equalizer because it tells you what to say to the prospect and it gives you a way to interact with the client. So that's what we're going to focus on today. That's the conversation with Dr. Smith, is I think some of you didn't realize what I was trying to communicate. So let's role play. Let's take a different approach today. And so let's role play. And we'll do it with Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown's a current client of ours as well as a distribution partner. But Mr. Brown, we're going to role play, you and I, in front of everyone, and we're going to pretend that you're the prospect. And so I'm the distribution partner, and Mr. Brown, you're the prospect. So the first thing I'm going to ask Mr. Brown is, are you looking for money to start or grow a business? And so I'm going to ask him that question. Now, maybe I'm face to face with Mr. Brown. Maybe I'm on a telephone call. Maybe it's a Zoom. But I need to start with qualifying my prospect. Are you looking for funding? Or worded here, do you need capital to start or grow a business? So, Mr. Brown, do you need capital to start or grow a business? We'll give him a moment to respond. If he says no, then we need to move on. I think that's the first problem I see some of you that are not very experienced with sales is you'll spend time on people that are not even looking to solve a problem. You're wasting your time and theirs. Okay, so Mr. Brown responded yes. Thank you, Mr. Brown. So then what am I going to do? I'm going to take a moment to educate Mr. Brown before I get into the comparison. So I'd say, well, great, Mr. Brown. I think you probably know this, but just to clarify, Mr. Brown, the key to getting qualified, the key is to get qualified for funding, right? It doesn't matter how badly someone wants money or how badly they need money. No banks or lenders, no underwriters care about urgency. It's, are you qualified? And so, Mr. Brown, what we do is through a legal and ethical approach, we have a program that's called the Fundable Shelf Corporation. And now, even if you have an existing business, Mr. Brown, don't worry about that. We can use the Shelf Corp to get the funding and transfer it. So I first asked Mr. Brown the pre-qualifying question. He was nice enough to answer yes. So then I want to get this out of the way right away. So then I'm going to continue on. Now I'm going to get Mr. Brown involved, my prospect involved with the conversation, but not quite yet. I need to lay the foundation. So, Mr. Brown, there are 2 rules that you need to know if you're looking for business funding. And you did tell me that you're looking for business funding. So, rule number 1 is we must have a fundable business. We don't just go get funding because we want it or need it. We get funding if we qualify. We need to have what we call a fundable business. Do you have a fundable business currently, Mr. Brown? So you're going to ask, you can stop and ask your prospect that. There's a 99.9% chance that they do not have a fundable business at this time. But there's also a 50-50 chance that they don't even know what the fuck you're talking about, and they don't really know what it takes to have a fundable business. So they may be giving you a bullshit answer because they just don't know enough to give you a good answer. But regardless of that, we need to clarify. Yes, you're looking for funding. If you want funding, first off, we have to have a fundable business. Now, you can replace this term. You have to have a qualified business or you have to have a credible business. But when we use the term, the adjective fundable, what that means is the 3 C's, right? We all learned this in grade school, middle school, credit, collateral, capacity, the 3 C's. So then I'd go on and say, and Mr. Brown did respond that he does not currently have a fundable business. Well, thank you, Mr. Brown, for sharing that. Now, if he came back and said he does, we're going to have to dig a little deeper because there's a strong probability that either Mr. Brown doesn't know what it takes to have a fundable business or he's not answering honestly. Because it's about 1 out of 200 times that we run into someone that really has a fundable business. Almost always there's problems, which is great because now you and I can help them solve their problem. All right, well, great. No worries, Mr. Brown. You don't have a fundable business. We can help. And in fact, rule number 2, Mr. Brown, is that buying a fundable shelf corp is in fact the fastest and easiest way to have a fundable business because everything's included. It's already there. So, Mr. Brown, what we're going to do over the next couple minutes, if you have time, is to do a quick comparison. I'm not here to sell you anything. I want to just guide us through a very analytical discussion of what's the best way for you to solve your problem. You told me your problem is that you need capital to start or grow a business. We recognize that you don't have a fundable business right now, so that's the barrier. Let's talk for a moment about how our grant subsidized fundable shelf corp program works. But also, Mr. Brown, I'm not here to pitch you on this. I want to know, what else are you considering as far as strategies to resolve your problem? So if you're face to face with your prospect, you literally could break out your pen or your magic marker and actually ask the prospect, well, what are other options that you're considering? Oh, I'm thinking about this, or I'm thinking about that, or I'm thinking about working with this group. Oh, great, great. So let's go ahead and graph this out. And then what you would do is you're going through these components, the value proposition of the fundable shelf core. You can then ask, well, is other option A, is that included? For other option B that you're looking at, is that included? For other option C that you're thinking about, is that included? And if it is, don't play with the prospect, check the box. And what's going to happen? After about 15 minutes, you're going to get down to the bottom and you're going to be able to look to see how many boxes are checked. We know every box is checked in this column. I'm sorry, in this column. But I suspect, I highly suspect, I predict, I anticipate, frankly, I'm confident that they're not, none of your prospects have other options that have a greater or even a similar value proposition. And remember, people often judge purchase price by what they pay out of pocket. And our out of pocket cost for the shelf court is literally only $1,000, of which you pocket half, by the way. So if you wanted to discount it, you could, but not try to take money out of your pocket. So does that make sense? That if you use this, rather it be in person, telephonic is possible, but it's a little bit more difficult because you don't have the ability to influence the visual topic you're on. But certainly you could set up a Zoom and set this up and go through it. Now we provide you this in editable Word version. So if you're doing the consultation with the client, you could actually be editing it as you're having the conversation with them. So with that rant, let's ask a few of you questions. So Toby, you're one of the best salespeople on the Zoom this morning. What's your feedback, Toby, of using this for two purposes: helping the client understand how we can help them, and then in a very objective way, helping them evaluate their other options to our proposition? What do you think, Toby? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Seeing you're one of our top sales professionals. What all of you? What's your feedback on this? One, you've been in sales and business development for decades. I'm curious of your feedback. Do you like this approach, or do you have a better approach? So I'll give you a moment to respond in the text. So you obviously need a lead to have a conversation with. So today's discussion isn't about lead development. We've had other conversations. We've shown you how to get leads. We've shown you how to get leads for free. We've essentially talked about the buy versus build approach to leads. So Joseph, you're right. We're not talking about leads right now. We're talking about once you have a lead, what do you do to be able to educate them and then persuade them to enroll? Because I have some of you that are averaging 1 to 2 Shelf Corp sales per day. I mean, that's great. That's impressive. That's a really nice income. And then some of you are at 0. And usually the people that are at 0 tell me how great they are at sales. So there's something wrong, and that's why we're trying to fix that problem. The ultimate problem is some of you are not very good at selling Shelf Corps. So I'm trying to solve that problem by offering you a tool that I believe is an accurate, effective, honest, honorable approach to helping them understand how you and I can help them with the fundable shelf, but then bringing them to their own subconscious conclusion by looking at the page. There's no check, no check, no check. Because let's say it's Jeff, and Jeff's a machine in lead generation. So, Jeff, let's say that you talk to the typical prospect, they don't even have any other options. So, of course, when they look at this, it's already filled out, right? Because there are no other options. Well, you have an option of either getting capital to start or grow a business using this solution, or it seems like you have no other option. All right, Pearlie brings up a good point. What if they say, well, I could just go to the bank? I'll just go to the bank. Well, if they have a fundable business, which is, again, from our experience, about 1 out of 200 people, they could just go to the bank. But that's not our target audience. Our target audience is the other 199 out of 200 that don't have a fundable business. All right, Michael's kind of pressing to describe what's a fundable business. Well, we've had other discussions, but let's discuss that. To have a fundable business for a business loan, you need to have a business plan, and you need to have good financials. You need to have good credit. You need to have a commercial address and an entity that's in good standing. You need to have collateral. You need to have cash flow. And from that, we have a solution that guarantees the funding. The bank's not going to guarantee you funding. It's going to be yes or no. And the out of pocket is minimal. So you're right. We're not a lender. We're not a bank. We're what's called technical advisors. That's an industry term. We prep people up. We get them prepared for funding and then help facilitate the funding. If you have someone that's already fundable, they don't need all of this. And that's okay. But that's not the majority of the marketplace, right? That's about 1 out of 200 people that you might talk to. Don't worry. Some of you is like, oh, this won't work for everyone. Well, nothing will work for everyone, right? That's too good to be true. But if we have something that works 199 out of 200 times, and then, remember how you make money from this. So the client's only paying 1,000 out of pocket, right? So you're collecting that from the client if you're a white label partner. You're keeping half, you're sending us half along with a copy of their contract so we can implement. We're your back office, we're your administrative service organization, ASO. So with that being said, you've got 500 in your pocket on day one. You might say, well, that's not much money. Well, I know it's not much money, but that's the start. So from there, then what do we need to do? Then we need to get the financing to pay for the rest of the shelf corp, because the shelf corp doesn't sell for $1,000. That's the down payment, the out of pocket. So Michael's pressing me, which I appreciate. Well, how much is the fundable shelf corporation? And my answer is, I don't know, Michael, because you determine the price. Each of you who are a white label partner, you determine how much you sell the shelf corps for. It's up to you. I don't know what the price is. You know the price. If you don't know the price, you need to figure it out. Well, how would you figure out your price? Well, what's your cost? I mean, you all are not spring chickens. You've been around. You're seasoned business professionals. Figure out your cost structure. Add to your cost structure what your profit needs to be, and then go to the market with that price. You're not fools. Do your own pricing. But most clients are going to base it on just simply what do they have up front, which is 1,000. You'll get 500. They'll get 500. Then we'll get financing for the rest. Let's say you're going with the average pricing, which is 15,000. So if you sell a shelf corp for 15,000 and they've only paid 1,000 down, then there's 14,000 remaining, isn't there? So then our job then is to go help them get financing for that 14,000 so you can get paid the rest of the money that you're owed. So how much you make off of each shelf corp is up to you. And of course, there's a difference between gross income and net income because every business has expenses. But I think most of you are selling the shelf corp at 15,000. There's some of you selling it at 25 or 35 or more. But so you're making money day one, then you're getting paid again once they get the financing for the shelf corp, which should be just a couple days. So you're getting paid a second time. And then as they go through funding, most of you are charging a performance fee. So you're getting some portion of their capital raise. Again, you determine that, not me. But most of you are charging, I'd say, between 10% and a 20% performance fee. Well, we guarantee them a minimum of 100,000. That's a minimum. We can do more, but a minimum 100. So let's say they get 100,000 and you charge them a 10% performance fee. So now you've made 10% on the back end. You've made 15,000 gross income on the front end. Add those together, that's 25,000 of gross income per client. I know that's not a lot, but if you string a few of those together, right? Domino's doesn't get rich off selling one pepperoni pizza. I think some of you are thinking such small volume, it's like all or nothing on one deal. But that's not the way a business should run, right? We should be helping lots of people solve their problems in volume. So now if you're making 25,000 of gross income, but you're doing that once a week or twice a week or once a day, now we're talking about adult money. But if your approach is, oh, I'm just going to dabble, and that's often a subconscious decision, not a conscious verbalized decision, but I'm just going to dabble in this. Well, you're probably going to get dabbling results. And in fact, you may not get any results as a dabbler because there's just that critical mass. I remember when I was a college professor, so I was a tenured full time college professor. And so then we also had adjunct professors. So adjunct professors might teach one class, 3 credit hours, one class a semester. They never could really get into the groove, right? Because it was a side hustle for them. So just go into this realizing that if you really want to earn adult money, helping people solve this problem through shelf corps, you really got to roll up your sleeves and get involved. But if all you want to do is dabble, you can dabble. That's your choice. But it probably you're not going to develop that muscle memory. You're not going to develop the routine, the patterns. But that's up to you. But if you are a white label partner, right? If you are signed as a white label partner, you made promises of certain performance standards. And I pray and hope that you are respectful of that, you understand that, and you're doing your part. Because we feel like we're doing our part training and supporting. So please don't make the mistake to sign up as a white label partner and then not meet those performance numbers. All right, Joseph asked about clients from other countries. Yes, we can work with people from anywhere in the galaxy, Joseph. So they could be from anywhere on Earth or beyond. If they're willing to pay you for the fundable shelf corp, Joseph, sell it to them. If you have little green men visit you from Mars and they're willing to give you $1,000, sign them up. Sign them up. All right, so who else has questions, comments? What is it that you need to be successful? Because again, some of you are crazy strong, and then some of you, like Celino, who should be crazy strong, we don't see those results yet. So it must be our fault, right? It must be our fault that you're not producing because you're smart, you're motivated, you're focused, you're committed. So what is it that we need to do different? Greg, you're not producing this month. What do you need from us? Eric, you're not producing this month. What do you need from us? Right? Rachel, one of the smartest people, you're near Mensa, no production. If you're not producing, put the burden on us and let us know what is it that you need us to do differently. But with this comparison sheet, if you'll use it, you need leads, right? You have to have leads. But if you'll use this as we've discussed, I think you'll be able to start enrolling people. All right. Juan says that people ask, has it worked for him? And that's a great point. I do recommend that every one of you consider, you don't have to, I would encourage every one of you to consider getting a fundable shelf corp for yourself. Why wouldn't you want to? You know you're going to get at least 100,000 of funding, right? You know that you're going to have a turnkey business. So sure, yeah. If the objection that you're facing is they're asking, well, have you bought a shelf corp? And you want to overcome that objection, then buy a shelf corp, right? I mean, you control that. All right. So who else has questions, comments, concerns that we need to cover? Because at some point we're all in. I mean, if we've got the program and it does what we say and we'll do what we promise to do, and we're providing you the strategies and materials to go communicate, at some point it falls into your lap to produce, right? So, Mr. Brown, what do you need to go sell a client on a shelf corp this week? Any of you, is there something that you're missing? Because we should have provided you an editable copy of the Shelf Corp client agreement. It's in Word, Microsoft Word. You take our information off, you put your information on, you change the pricing as you want, and you start pitching to clients. You don't have leads? We've talked about leads. We can get you free leads. Leads come buy or build. We've already discussed that. So I don't accept that leads is the problem. So if you've got a program that's legal, it's ethical, it works, it's unique in the marketplace, it meets people's needs, what's missing? Michael, can you tell us what's missing? What's keeping you from selling a shelf corp today? Pearlie, can you tell me what's keeping you from selling a shelf corp today? Selena, again, thank you for being around forever and a day. What is it you need, Selena, to go sell a shelf corp today? All right. Well, if you need anything from us, let us know. We're going to be here again tomorrow morning, same time, same place. You can reach out to us if you need us before then. I see Rachel's asking. Yeah. So the flyer is still fine. The flyer's good, but it's a bit busy. So everyone should have an editable copy of the flyer, so you can change your information at the bottom. And in addition to that, now we have the comparison sheet, just more white space. It's a better tool, I think. And so you could even use both, right? They complement each other, they don't conflict. But I think people want simplicity, they want a solution to their problem. And if you help them understand how a shelf corp can provide them without any risk, they don't have any risk, that I think you'll find many people enroll. All right. Well, thanks everyone. We'll see you back tomorrow morning. Have a great day. Bye bye.